Late Night Health continues. During the next hour, Carol Critchman is going to be joining us. She's from Peace in the Streets Global Film Festival. She's the woman whose son was, she claims, was killed by police officers in the Palm Springs area several years ago. And the outcome of the trial was last week. She's going to give us a little update during hour 2 of Late Night Health, and you can always tune in for that at latenighthealth.com, latenighthealth.com. We are joined by the beautiful and vivacious Melissa McCarty. She's the host on Aura TV and author of News Girls Don't Cry. Well, right now, we're going to turn to Brooklyn, New York, as we welcome Beth Warren. She is an author of a book called Living a Real Life with Real Food, How to Get Healthy, Lose Weight, Stay Energized, the Kosher Way. Beth, thanks for joining us. Growing up in a home that was kind of kosher light, if you will, I understand what kosher is. I have a lot of friends who are Orthodox Jews, and I actually have a lot of friends who are religious Christians who prefer to eat kosher food. Is kosher in general healthier than regular food?
So that's a great question. And a lot of times we often just generalize and say all kosher food is healthier for us. But the truth is that just like any culture, it has evolved to be a little more processed and a little bit more caught up in more of the American diet. And it's not necessarily more healthful, but there's certain behaviors that we learn through a kosher diet that we could use towards being healthier. So, for example, there's a certain discipline that you have when you keep a kosher diet. You only eat these specific kosher certified foods, and we could use that same sort of discipline in a supermarket when we approach a more unhealthy choice, and we could say, you know what, I'm not going to have this right now. I'm going to put this back on the shelf. So just like that same type of discipline you use with a kosher, you're looking for a kosher symbol, you could use that with making more of a healthful choice.
One of the things that I found interesting is that I can go into your pantry, Melissa. Do you cook at home?
I do.
Okay, I can go into your pantry, and I can go into Bill's pantry, and neither one of them keep kosher, and I could find at least a half a dozen or more items that are certified kosher.
Wow. What would be the best top 3?
Ketchup, mustard. What else? Beth, help me out here.
Right, exactly. That's exactly my point. These days, I mean, it really works well for the culture who want to keep kosher for religious reasons that so much is available to them, but it's because of that seemingly more choices that we have to really be careful to still read the packages and the food labels that we're still making a healthy choice, for sure.
Everything from, I don't know what that was, but hello, something fell down here in the studio. Everything from milk to meat, and never the twain shall meet, and you're the only one who would get that, Beth, can be kosher, but is it healthy? Also, we have to differentiate. I have an Ashkenazic background, which means that my great-grandparents and grandparents came from Poland, Eastern Europe, Russia. Your background is Sephardic?
Yes, so I actually have a mix of the two backgrounds. So the largest influence on my life was really the Sephardic background, which is more from Spain and Middle Eastern cultures. And what's really great about that is they were really engrossed in a lot of dishes with vegetables, these interesting vegetables like okra, that always incorporated a meal, or you would start off your meal with different salads with olive oils. It's more of like that Mediterranean style diet, the one that's always quoted with the health benefits being anti-inflammatory and having great effects on cardiovascular health and Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and all these diseases. So that's more of my background, and Ashkenazi culture also is through my mother's side, actually. So we also have those classic, chicken matzo ball soups and foods like that. So it's really a mix, and that's what you see throughout the book, is you see those recipes in there where it's more of a blend, and they're all catered towards these meal plans where you learn how to incorporate them into just a real-life reality setting.
You've got there's a 3-bean salad, it looks like, maybe even a 4-bean salad.
So delicious.
Doesn't that
Looks
look
so good.
Yeah, I'm hungry right now.
Now, Beth, do you have tips on how many times to eat per day to lose weight and stay energized, as you mentioned in the book, or is it just what you choose, or how does your family do it?
Oh, well, that's a great point you brought up, because one of the first 2 things I teach people in my private practice setting is that we really have to eat on a schedule. Our bodies need to eat about every 3 hours, no less than 2 hours, no more than 4 hours is my rule. And the reason why that's so critical is because a lot of times we're just munching around, so we're eating about every hour or within the hour, or you go home at 5 o'clock and you're just eating till 10 o'clock. So you really need that break of 2 hours, and you really can't go more than 4 hours. And that's because really we all want to manage our blood sugar and our insulin levels. We want it to sort of be like a little bumpy road as opposed to spikes of spiking and dropping. So just as much as it's important of what is on our plate, it's important to eat often throughout the day. And that really could be independent of what you're actually eating. It's a separate rule completely, and then we also have to think about what we're eating.
So, thousands of years ago, when kosher laws were being developed and had been developed, meat and milk were not eaten at the same time. There are a number of reasons for that. We won't go into religious reasons, but today Orthodox Jews do not eat meat and milk at the same time. They wait a certain length of time. Is that something that people should look for? I mean, do you encourage that?
What I thought was so interesting just about that point in general is that meat and dairy are 2 of the most controversial food groups just in today's culture.
Absolutely.
So I just sort of made the point there of, well, you know what, look at how controversial this was, but you know what, why do we even have that rule to begin with? And the truth is, with most kosher laws, the reason why we follow it as a religion is because we're told to. So as much as we try to really dig in, well, is this really healthy for us? Sometimes it turns out that science caught up and we find that really it is. But in terms of being meat and milk at the same time, I don't really know of a reason, at least that science found yet for that. But what I thought was interesting was that there must be something to these food groups that make us question, are these good for us, or is there a way we're supposed to be eating them? And the whole point is that the more we just think about how we're eating and what we're eating and when we're eating it, the more we're more likely to make healthier choices. And in the end, that's really what it's about. And I just focus throughout the book on what I really call real food is just quality food, and that the meats that we have should really be quality, ideally grass-fed meat, which is very difficult to find if you keep a kosher diet. And the dairy, we should try to alternate our non-dairy sources also, have some almond milk, have all these other bases now like coconut milk and other things, as opposed to just having dairy all the time. I see people who have cheese just constantly as their choice of protein, and just having in your mind that we should alternate our sources of protein.
I just sampled some non-dairy kosher cheese. It was a cheese spread, and it was delicious. It was at that expo that I told you about, Beth.
Right. Very cool.
And it was delicious. It was really, really good. It took me a while. I actually bought some. It's the brand will come to me. My point is that, to me, maybe it's the way I was raised, meat and milk. I mean, I cannot imagine eating a sandwich with a glass of milk. It's just yucky. On the other hand, I would love it with a Coca Cola. And how do you feel about Coca Cola, Beth? And I know
I know her answer.
I do. I'm afraid of her answer.
But the way you actually segued into that is a great point, because a lot of times people tell me, well, I'll look at someone's food record that they wrote down, their diary, and they would say they had fast food and soda. So I said, so why do you need to have the soda? They said, because with the cheeseburger fast food, it comes with soda. That's just...
It's true.
Like you won't have one without the other. And that to me is never a reason to eat. I mean, if you really told me you really did want the soda, I mean, that's one thing. But to tell me you're having it just because that's what comes with the cheeseburger is not a reason why we eat, So soda, I feel like it's just sort of a little bit of a waste. I'd rather you go have like a nice treat that you really enjoy and physically chew and eat and really enjoy for that amount of sugar that you're having through the soda.
So as organic as possible, pretty much always?
What, in general, an organic lifestyle?
Yeah, just your table, your plan for the food, it's as organic as you can get without sugars.
So rule of thumb is that, and especially where I live in Brooklyn, it's very difficult to just rely on an organic lifestyle because it's not so readily available. And I didn't want to deter people from feeling like they can't still live this real life with real food, as I called it, if they can't commit to being organic, because it's not the be-all, end-all of being healthy. And we can't expect ourselves to be perfect in a food society that's not perfect. So I want to encourage it as much as people can, afford it, find it, eat it. But if it's not available, I would never say don't have fruits and vegetables because it's not organic.
But growing up, Beth, we didn't eat a lot of fresh vegetables. We ate canned stuff. Mm-hmm. Didn't you? Well, you're younger.
I did.
You did canned stuff. And Beth, what about you? I mean, canned string beans or fresh string?
Honestly, I never really had so many canned vegetables. I had more frozen. I guess I was, my mother did something. I had mostly, if I had frozen and fresh. I don't know about that creed. There must be a fad when canned vegetables even came out that everybody was eating them. I don't know.
Maybe, and actually, you know what? You're right. We ate a lot of frozen vegetables, which
So
I didn't like either.
But that's a great point. Is that bad? I mean, obviously it's not ideal, but
No,
does it
frozen
matter?
vegetables are not bad. No.
In canned?
And canned has added sodium, and the way that
right.
and sometimes if you have, let's say, a tomato from a can, because it's so acidic, some of the BPA, they say, leaches into the food.
Did you say acidic or Hasidic? I'm sorry.
Acidic.
Okay, I'm sorry. Acid. Okay. Our guest is Beth Warren. She's got a book called Living a Real Life with Real Food, How to Get Healthy, Lose Weight, and Stay Energized the Kosher Way. I couldn't resist when this came across my desk because, in general, most people think of kosher as being healthy, clean, but growing up in a Jewish household, some of the Jewish foods that we ate were certainly not healthy, like pastrami. We're going to come back and we're going to figure out ways to get around the Jewish deli counter, and find out some ways that we can do that with Beth. Our guest today is Beth Warren. Our co-host right now is Melissa McCarty, the author of Newsgirls Don't Cry. Are you having fun?
It's a great time and informative.
Well, good. She's gonna start eating all kosher, Beth. All right, we're gonna take a break. We'll be back. Don't go away. Late Night Health continues, and be sure to visit us at latenighthealth.com.
You're listening to Late Night Health with Mark Alyn. The show continues in a moment.